Hey everybody, Tim Miller from the Bulwark here. I just got off with Katy. It's kind of a lively little chat. And we were talking about this Atlantic article about how Trump, by David Graham, who I like, about how Trump puts his opponents into this bad place. They have to choose between two unpleasant options. Using the redistricting as an example, this notion that he has to choose, but the Democrats have to choose between going against maybe their principles or what they prefer about the rules, or doing something that would give Trump a political advantage and help him win. And that he does this across a lot of different verticals. And I kind of reject the premise of that article, which you can listen to. I think we have a really good exchange. And then in the second segment, we get into a bit into the news around the EJ Anthony hiring and this notion that they might not even give out jobs numbers. It's a good little chat. Hope you enjoy it. Subscribe to the feed. We'll see you soon.
For the Democrats to push back against what they call cheating in Texas, they've got to do the same in California. But if they refuse to do the same, to cheat like they say Texas is, they potentially give up the House. So what can they do? As David Graham writes in The Atlantic, part of Trump's political genius and his threat is that he forces his opponents to choose between bad options. Joining us now, writer-at-large, host of the Bulwark podcast, man you're seeing everywhere lately, MSNBC political analyst Tim Miller, fresh off fighting with Dean Cain, senior writer for Wired and author of the Inner Loop newsletter, Jake LaHotte. Jeremy Peters is still with us. Tim, you have been everywhere lately.
You got to have the grind set these days.
Yeah,
what they're saying.
Clearly. So I think this is one of the... what we've been watching with Donald Trump for years, and one of the ways that he's been so successful, and David Graham rightly points this out, is that he gets down into the mud and he drags you down into the mud with him. And Democrats have not found a way. They try to keep themselves clean. That doesn't work. They get down in the mud and they're not quite as muddy as he is. Right. What do they do?
Here's the thing. This is, I guess, to David Graham's point, it's the best of bad options. But one way to put it is that Donald Trump is a genius and he's really good at strategy and all this. And he's a good politician, obviously. The other way to look at it is that he's a cheater. He cheats. He's cheating, right? He cheats in politics. He does not play by the rules that people have accepted across a lot of different domains, over the years. And so if you're playing golf, he's also a cheater in golf, by the way. We've seen the videos of that. So if you're playing golf against a cheater, what are your options?
Is it like the steroids era in baseball?
Yeah.
You got to take the steroids, otherwise you're going to be the one that gets cut from the team.
I guess I don't know who did it first. So sorry, McGuire, but whoever did it first, the other one starts doing it. Yeah. So look, the Democrats have no choice but to play by his new rules, and obviously it's broken rules, and I don't really think it's that hard of a call. Unfortunately, I wish we weren't here, but that's just the reality.
The Democrats struggle with it, though. Immigration has been a problem in this country. The country doesn't like the numbers. They don't like the idea that you can just walk across the border and claim asylum, and it might not actually be a just cause for asylum under our current law. They've been demanding and hoping for congressional movement on this. It hasn't come. The economy hasn't felt great. Americans don't feel like they're getting ahead in their careers, can't buy a house. These are all problems that exist, and Donald Trump has been able to, to find them and to hit them and to make people feel like he cares. Democrats get so lost in the nuance of these issues that they have a hard time convincing voters that they also care and they want to fix it. I struggle to understand why they still, after all this time, get lost in it. And, you're talking about, Gavin Newsom, for instance, is trying to go after Donald Trump by being Mr. Tough Guy and calling the speaker a little man and saying things like he's going to be in the unemployment line, Taco Donald Trump, all this stuff. He's using names. And I'm not sure it lands when the only successful example of a Democrat that I've seen lately is Mamdani. And you don't hear him get into any of this stuff.
Yes, this is meta.
Focuses on the problems at hand in this city.
This is meta and it's commentary. So here's the DC is a prime example of this, right? Yeah. Where it's okay, so everybody agrees that DC crime is a problem. Basically, obviously it's down a little bit, but it's too high, right? It's too high. And so Trump sends in the military, which is preposterous and ridiculous, right? And the answer to this is to simply say, no, this is wrong. This is a power grab. He's going to take over the military. We're going to have the Fox and Friends weekend host running the DC military now. This is ridiculous. No, there are real ways to stop the crime. But instead you get in this kind of, you want to do a little bit of both. Well, it's a little bit of a power grab, and then crime is down. And it's just like, no, he's not trying to solve the problem. He's a joke. This is a farce. We're going to do it different. But he does put the other side in this situation where you kind of feel like you have to defend these institutions that people are frustrated with, rather than just offering an alternate solution.
And a country, just how significant is it for Donald Trump to corrupt the gathering of data in this country? The Washington Post argues it is very significant. John Lanchester, writing on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, says this: the gathering of data exemplifies our ambition for a stable, coherent society. The United States is an enlightenment project based on the supremacy of reason, on the idea that things can be empirically tested, that there are self-evident truths, that liberty, progress, and constitutional government walk arm in arm and together form the recipe for the ideal state. Statistics, numbers created by the state to help it understand itself and ultimately to govern itself, are not some side effect of that project, but a central part of what government is and does. It is so fundamental to us as Americans, but also to us as humans, to want to know what the best option is. I mean, that's why there are top 10 lists. That's why Wirecutter exists. It's why when you want to buy a new air conditioning unit, you go and you say, well, what does the Wirecutter say? What does New York Magazine say? What does, Good Housekeeping say? What is the best thing that I can get? And we as a country gathered that data to make decisions, as Justin said, for business, for economics, for making people's lives better, vaccines, et cetera. And we're losing that. And I wonder how the American public is going to react when they suddenly actually can't trust things and have one set of numbers, but then have a different experience.
I'm going to give you a dark answer to that, because this has been a long time coming. Right? Trump wants to deconstruct truth across a lot of variables. And it's not just Trump, right? With AI, we have a lot of new, images and movies now that are not real. And people want to be told what they want to hear. People want to be told good news. This is not a unique thing to Donald Trump, but he's been just particularly good at weaponizing it and deconstructing truth when it doesn't serve him. We saw that after the 2020 election. And so I think that the public will probably go along with it. The question is, why aren't business leaders pushing back on this more aggressively? I had Jason Calacanis, who's the Silicon Valley guy, on the pod this morning, and we were arguing about this. I was like, why aren't you guys up in arms? Why isn't the Wall Street Journal up in arms? Because
the Journal is up in arms mostly. I mean, their editorial page has been going after.
Yeah. They have, but I guess I meant the leaders that are of the walls that read the Wall Street Journal.
Well, when they do come out, like when Goldman Sachs comes out and says something, Donald Trump says their chief economist should be fired.